pleasure to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Haven.
Thank you very much.
This is Jaguar I-Pace. Have you ever been in a Jaguar before?
I have, yeah. My daddy's have a very old one.
Nice, very nice. Get yourself strapped in, security first. So it has lots of cool features. We've got Wi-Fi, we've also got this that pulls out, and we have complimentary refreshments in cans, not plastic.
Not alcoholic, I presume.
Which I'm very happy about. Cool, so you are first and foremost the founder of a bike sharing scheme called Beryl.
Yes.
And the inventor of the inventor of the green lights for Santander cycles, is that correct?
Yeah.
So tell us about the business first of all, for people who aren't as familiar with Beryl.
So yes, we are now doing bike share. We have 3 schemes up and running as we speak, but we began life as a consumer electronics company actually. We made the laser light, which was my university project,
right?
Which is now, you can see on all of the Santander cycles in London, and also the bikes of New York and Montreal. We co-designed the new Santander cycle in London. We did lights, laser, GPS, Bluetooth sensors, all the technology on board the bike. And then more recently we're now kind of doing our own bikes. So we've got our own bike share offering with our own bike app operations, and it's a slightly different model. We have bay parking, so geo-fenced bays, so the bikes aren't left everywhere, they're left in bays, and we work with cities to kind of fully integrate it.
That's so clever, that's amazing, and obviously it makes sense from your background starting out with the lights for Santander cycles, which was back in 2012, right? Would you say that's kind of where it started?
The business, no, we founded the business in 2012. We started working with TfL in about 2014.
Right. How did you get into it? How did it all start? I would never kind of imagine going into likes for transportation, bicycles. What gave you the idea in the first place? So it was unexpected for you too.
Yeah. It was my university, but I went to Oxford and read physics, and then I dropped out to go and do design in Brighton.
Wow.
And it was my final year project there. Having never been on a bike as an adult, I decided to cycle the UK for charity.
Wow.
And with a girlfriend, learned to ride a bike. I mean, literally, I remember learning to, like, taking hands off handlebars and reaching for water without falling off.
Oh my god, that's insane. Wow.
We trained for 4 months in the summer and then did the ride in September, 1,000 miles. And I fell in love with cycling.
Wow.
And I've been on a bike pretty much every day since.
Amazing. So do you commute into work on a bike as well then?
I do, yeah. It's not far, it is literally around the corner from work.
That's very handy. Amazing.
Use one of our bikes.
So would you class yourself first and foremost as an inventor or a business founder, entrepreneur? What would you, or all of the above basically?
I used to not like the word inventor because it made me think of an old man with great curly hair.
Yeah.
On a shed somewhere. So I guess I'm a founder, entrepreneur.
Yeah, amazing. How did it start with getting the initial sort of claim to fame, if you like, the big kind of initial achievement was the green bicycle kind of lights on the Santander cycle. So for anyone that's not familiar, those lights that you see projected out onto the road is because of this woman, basically, which is incredible. So how did you come up with that? How did you contact TfL?
So the first product, I mean, I knew when I went back to university, having just got off the bike and done the charity ride, I knew I wanted to do a project around urban cycling.
Right.
I knew I wanted to tackle the biggest problem. I didn't really care what it was, but it had to be the biggest problem, and safety is just the #1 concern.
Right.
People who do cycle in the city, and then people, it's the #1 barrier for people who don't. And then spent about, honestly, 6 months of kind of deep diving into data and statistics, working with a driving psychologist, understanding why accidents happen.
Wow.
Really kind of, working with a ton of different cyclists, and amongst all the research, there was one statistic which amazed me and still does, that 79% of bicycles involved in an accident are going straight ahead and somebody else turns into them.
Oh, I did not know that.
So,
that's interesting.
For example, the blind spot, a vehicle in front and
right.
a vehicle pulling up at a side junction. But in those situations, the threat's often in front of you. You can see them, they just can't see you.
Right.
So I was thinking about the problem, biking around town and literally thinking, I wish I had a virtual presence ahead of me. I wish that van can't see me. I wish I had a virtual me to give him a heads up. Oh, project myself there.
Amazing. It's such a great idea. It's one of those things that's just simply geniusly simple that works, right?
It is simple.
And how did it happen with TfL? How did you manage to actually integrate it with their Santander cycles?
We spoke to them really early on. It was definitely too early. They said we don't think we'd even launched product yet. And then I spent the next kind of year and a half of mates being like, I was thinking about you. Do you know what you should do? You should get your light on the Boris bikes, on the Santander cycles. I'm like,
There's an idea.
Well, thanks. But then it was Serco who actually had the contract to operate the scheme. Literally picked up the phone one day and said, "We love the innovation.
Wow.
Will you come in for a meeting?" And then it was a long kind of 12-week process of testing to prove that the innovation was effective, basically, by TfL.
Right.
And they commissioned another party called the Transport Research Laboratory, who tested different light conditions and different road surfaces around HGVs, buses, vans, cars, and submitted a 92-page document, which is actually golden, and says it works. So
Wow.
that was the process.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, even though it was obviously from a while ago, but still such an incredible achievement.
Thank
so
you.
Really, again, privileged to be sat here and talking to you now. So at that stage, so going back those few years, the business was called Blaze, that's correct, and you rebranded to Beryl, and apparently that's named after a great British cyclist called Beryl Burton. So tell me why Beryl? Who is she? For people who I hadn't heard of her before I researched you. So
that's good that you found that link. I mean, rebranding is painful, trying to find something that's completely ownable and defensible, because we had a dispute with a company in America that had a bike light called Blaze, so that was the reason for the rebrand. And then to try and find something that's clean, was so difficult in such a big industry.
Right.
And we'd kind of get to something we quite liked and had 75 potential infringement cases next to it, and it was a nightmare.
Wow.
But eventually, I was in America, and a girlfriend of mine was I was out there for work. I was staying with a girlfriend. She's an amazing entrepreneur herself, and she's like, "You look crap. And what's wrong with you? I'd stay with them." And I was like, "I haven't slept." She's like, "Why haven't you?" I was like, "We've been worrying about trying to come up with a new name for the company." And my team back home is just like, we've got a list of, they're all made up words at this point, because that was what was protectable.
Yeah.
And we just need to pick something and go with it, because we're going to manufacturing. I just can't do it. I can't attach myself to these words that mean nothing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll come up with something." I was like, "Love you, but we've been doing this for honestly over a year now. Endless brainstorms, endless agencies that we've worked with to do it." And I got a text within 20 minutes saying, "I've got your name, come across town and meet me."
Amazing.
What? And her rationale was she'd gone to kind of cycling, women in cycling, inspiring women, and blah 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 blah. She knew me, not the business, so she's like, we're focusing on the kind of women angle, the female angle. And Beryl Burton I'd never heard of, and she is a complete rock star. She dominated British cycling in the 60s and 70s and won 7 domestic championship medals, 7 world championship medals. She set the men's 12-hour time trial record that wasn't broken by another man for 2 years.
Wow.
Or a woman by 50. So she's a rock star that was never celebrated.
Wow, amazing.
And then also when I googled it on the taxi on the way home, Beryl, the name Beryl comes from an emerald. A precious gemstone or an aquamarine is a beryl.
Yeah.
So that green light that you see on the streets of London and New York,
meant to be.
It's Beryl.
That was destiny. Amazing. I love the name, and such a great story. I can empathise with your background in kind of physics, doing something a little bit more kind of scientific, engineering angle to it. Would you say that the creativity to that side of things maybe stressed you out a bit more because it wasn't so much maybe your territory? Or
I loved it. I missed it. I was a girl that could do science and maths, and I was very much encouraged to do just science and maths.
Right.
And I missed design and art.
Right.
That's what I really loved.
Amazing.
So having kind of I did the Oxford thing, did the physics thing, and thought, no, this isn't for me.
Wow.
I missed the creativity. So left and went and did product design, which is kind of the combination of a bit of science and engineering, but then also the creative.
Amazing. That's so cool. So that was obviously a few years ago, and now Beryl's obviously going from strength to strength. So you're now B Corp certified. First of all, you want to talk a bit about that and what being B Corp certified actually means.
B Corp's amazing. It's amazing because it gives you a framework of best practice. It's obviously an incredibly lengthy process to go through. When we first started it, we're like, oh, we'll be fine. Our purpose very genuinely is to build a better world by getting more people in cities on bikes. That's been the same since day one, and that's what everybody in the office comes to work to try and achieve. So like, oh, we're doing a good thing. Obviously we're going to get loads of points for that. No points for that.
Wow.
Because it's not really about kind of what you do, it's kind of how you do it.
Okay.
So it's your supply chain, your employment wage, all the kind of nuts and bolts of a business, and trying to look after your employees, your partners, everybody you work with, the planet first, and not thinking just about profits. So you really have to change a lot within the business and think about every small detail to try and get those points and get qualified.
Right.
which is an amazing process to go through, because you really do scrutinise everything that you do and trying to look at the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But it means a lot to the team. It means a lot to people joining the team, and it's something you continue to try to improve as well. You want to get a better score each year, so it's something we're always working towards.
Yeah, amazing. Congratulations. You say even that exercise in itself is a good process to kind of have that overhaul of the whole business and look at all those different areas, which is fantastic. So when were you officially awarded the B Corp?
A couple of years ago now, actually,
right.
I think. Yeah.
So you've been ahead of the curve and getting it.
Although it's getting popularity, which is great.
Now in 2020 it is, but you are one of the few that got in there first. So you partnered with City Mapper as well. That's another kind of milestone in the business. So when did that happen?
Very recently, and Passenger App in Bournemouth, which is our biggest scheme. So because we don't track the individual, we track the asset, we track the bike.
Right.
Because lots of the micromobility partners require them to use his mobile phone. We can be very open with our data and kind of partner with other organisations and companies, and lots of potentially exciting opportunities there.
Amazing. And I think perhaps one of the other big achievements that you've recently got to is New York apparently is coming as well. Or whereabouts are you at with that?
That's happening in the spring.
Amazing.
Which is bonkers.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's quite exciting.
So you're launching in New York?
Yeah, so it's the borough of Staten Island. So of the 5 boroughs, Staten Island is the last to get bike share.
Okay.
They had Jump and Lime in there for a year as a trial, and then now we've just been awarded the contract to deliver bike share.
Amazing, congratulations.
Thank you.
So it's a couple of months off, is it?
Yeah, it is. We've got a busy few months ahead of us, and we're launching 2 other cities here in the UK at the same time.
Wow, what are the other 2 cities?
Norwich and Watford.
Wow.
Both the UK's it's changed a lot recently. There's a lot of funding coming towards mobility and sustainable transport, and some of the cities are kind of providing funding to award bike share, which is great.
Are you seeing anything else that's happening at the moment in whether it's micro mobility, shared transportation? Obviously we've got e-bikes in London as well now. Are you seeing anything else being kind of on the front line in terms of emerging tech in the mobility space at all?
Tech, I mean, I think the vehicles that we're currently using, other than the bike and the e-bike, charging definitely for the e-bikes is obviously going to come on leaps and bounds in the coming months and years. But the other vehicles, electric vehicles, I think we haven't settled on the form factor that makes sense yet for the kind of single occupancy electric vehicle of the future.
Yeah.
But that's quite exciting. I think we'll see some new things coming out. Our technology is vehicle agnostic, so we can operate a fleet of bikes, e-bikes, scooters, whatever it is that pops up in the future.
Yeah.
But I think the kick scooter in its current form isn't the answer.
Yeah. What do you think around the regulation? Because obviously e-scooters aren't allowed in the UK at the moment unless it's obviously private property. Are you pro or against that?
Yeah, that's not going to change for a little while. I think that's going to be a bit longer for that. But regulation is, I think we're slightly ahead of the rest of Europe and some of North America and the UK. We are slightly more heavily regulated. It is exciting to see cities are now awarding exclusive contracts for mobility, for bike share or e-bikes, and providing funding for that. They understand that if you want to provide an actual solution to the citizens, you have to embed something properly within the city. You have to award a contract. You have to do it, in partnership, not just allowing anybody to come in and dump vehicles and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think we're beginning to see in the rest of Europe where it's slightly chaotic. You've got all of these players and all these vehicles. It's not providing a good solution.
Yeah.
And the cities and even the providers themselves are calling out for regulation. So the Micromobility Conference recently, and a panel of 4 of the founders of the biggest scooter companies in Europe were all saying it needs to be regulated further. And it's like, well,
yeah,
you're kind of creating the mess first and then asking for it to be
totally
cleared up.
But it seems to be unfairly and slightly controversial to say this, but it seems to be the case that first of all you do need those private companies to innovate and to move to push those boundaries, push the envelope, and then it's usually the regulators that are then forced to catch up. And then make the rules around it. You see it in so many different industries, but I think mobility is perhaps one where we've seen it the most with different ride hailing apps, and I think the e-scooter thing is kind of the most relevant at the moment. I totally agree. When you go to other countries, especially in Europe, and you see all these scooters kind of littering the streets of the city. I'm quite grateful that actually we've got that regulation already here in place.
Yeah.
At least in London, which is already, you know, hectic enough as it is.
And lots of our contracts that we're being awarded with cities, and we've been very fortunate. We've kind of won everything we've gone for in the last few months. They're long contracts, kind of 3, 5, some of them 8 years long.
Wow.
And you know, we'd love to be able to work with those cities and offer other forms of mobility. You know, mobility, as I just said, has changed rapidly in the last couple of years. Who's to know what it's going to look like in 8 years? But
Of course.
we want to be the kind of mobility partners for these cities.
Yeah, absolutely. So as such a bicycle enthusiast, first of all, I'd love to know how come you learned to cycle for that particular charity, going back to that. So you couldn't cycle before, you hadn't cycled as an adult.
Yeah.
Was that through fear? Was that through just...
I remember I used to drive. I had a car as a kid, and I had to kind of overtake a cyclist sweating up a hill and be like, back up. Like, what are you doing? This looks miserable. But now I'm the one who'd be like,
the roles are reversed.
I think it's like being inside in a really snug, lovely day, like snug sitting room, and it's miserable outside and bucketing it down, and you look out and like, oh, it'd be horrible out there. Once you're out there, it's absolutely lovely and fine.
Right.
Being on a bike, I think, until you've done it for the first time, you realise actually it's quicker, more efficient, happier, nicer, cleaner, more enjoyable way to get across the city.
Totally.
And it's kind of, you're quite often quickly a convert once you... I've just seen that my housemate's really cool. She's teeny tiny, she's 5 foot, I guess, maybe 5'1", so she's sadly too small for the Santander cycles.
Oh.
But she just got one of our, she can ride our bikes because they're 4'11" to 6'5".
Amazing.
So she's been using that, and she's like literally just started cycling for the first time in the city, and she's
Wow.
got the helmet, and she's like, and it makes her, cause she lives, you know, in an area where she walks everywhere, which is amazing, but it's a good kind of 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
And everything's just like jump on a bike.
You can at least do
there.
half that in a bike, right? We're in a new decade. It's 2020. What do you think will happen with London, the micro-mobility space, in the next 10 years now? We touched on kind of some areas of innovation, progression. What do you think were the biggest changes over the next few years?
Vehicles. I think the vehicles will change a lot. I think we'll probably see them. Then autonomous in the sense that they will be moving to you when you request one. I think having static vehicles kind of parked up on the street and littering the sidewalks and things isn't necessarily going to be the solution. I can imagine it. I mean, like you order an Uber, it's you know, mobile and elsewhere, and it will come to you. I think then once you get on the vehicle, then you would for a while still be in control of it. So I think we'll see that happening. Really excited about cargo bikes.
Okay.
We're doing some work offering bike share with cargo bikes, and that really is exciting because that is displacing the car. That is, you know, journeys that you could do with a cargo bike. You know, going to the supermarket and getting loads of shopping, or going to the garden centre, or moving your kids or whatever. You would need 4 wheels for that, otherwise you would need a car. But if you had a cargo bike, you can do it with one of those. You wouldn't necessarily buy one though, because they are pretty expensive. So like our bikes, where at the moment you just walk up with a mobile phone, tap the handlebars, it unlocks. I'd love to see a future where we have hangers, you know, walk up, tap it, unlock a bike, and off you go and take it to go and do those journeys that you'd otherwise use a car for. Is it fully electric, this?
Yeah, fully electric. We are London's first
That's really
and
cool.
only all-electric chauffeur service.